Hello and welcome to the International Daily Roundup by People's Dispatch, where we bring you some of the major news developments from across the globe. In our first story, China, Russia and Iran are conducting military drills in the Sea of Oman that begin today. We talked to Abdul to discuss the significance of these maneuvers. Abdul, thank you for joining us. So these drills that we're talking about, they began on the 27th, that is today, and go on till the 1st. And these come at a very critical time. The past year has seen a huge escalation of the US offensive against Iran. Of course, it's not become a war, it's come very close to it. So what is the significance of these three major powers in that region actually staging these drills?
As you rightly pointed out, you can see Iran is always I think it is in a desperate need to find allies in international politics.
Right.
And this drill is a sign that it has been able to, its diplomatic efforts have been fulfilled. China and Russia, which are, you can say, a counter poles in international politics today, have joined Iran, and they're doing the exercise just under the nose of the 6th Fleet,
Right.
US 6th Fleet in the region. And therefore, of course, this has a very large diplomatic and geostrategic significance, this particular exercise.
Right. So we know that Russia and Iran have been cooperating in recent times. They have had a very good relationship in Syria, where they have played a key role in stabilizing the Syrian government's regime. And even on other issues, they've worked together for quite some time. The Astana talks, for instance. But the role of China here is quite interesting because it's a bit far from China's usual, what you would assume is China's usual region or China's usual strategic interest. So what role exactly is China playing here?
See, again, this is some kind of a, not new, but some kind of a unique development in terms of China asserting its military power outside its immediate region.
Right.
Though it has tried to do it in other parts, but not at such large scale, and directly in a region which is directly considered to be the backyard of US in particular.
Right.
So China so far, of course, was helping Iran in different ways to deal with the US sanctions, the effects of US sanctions. It was still importing the oil from China, despite the fact that there is a sanction, and so financially it was stabilizing Iran. But apart from that, it is now also coming up and kind of asserting militarily. So that is a new role, you can say, not new in a sense, it's something which is a developing role of China in international politics.
And this also acquires significance because, on the other hand, we have the US and India, for instance, recently having discussions on an increased partnership. So there's also a sense probably in China of the fact that the US is now looking to besiege China in more ways than just the earlier forms of cooperation.
There are attempts, of course. US is trying to kind of contain China, what they call containing China policy. But it looks like this exercise is a classic example. If you see the way Russia has been isolated in international politics, there was an attempt to isolate Russia by the United States of America in different ways after the Ukrainian issue. Despite that, Russia has been very open in its relationship with China.
Right.
So China and Russia have come very close, and they together are kind of emerging as a counter to the US hegemony in the world politics.
Right.
Not only militarily. So far, there is a say in international writings on international politics that there is a division of labor in international politics when it comes to anti-US pole, quote-unquote anti-US pole, that Russia takes care of the military aspect and China takes care of the financial aspect.
Right.
With this exercise, I think that particular myth has been broken.
Right. Thank you so much, Abdul. In our next story, we go to Colombia, where 5 social leaders and activists were killed in a span of few days. In many of the instances, the victims were celebrating Christmas with their families or were on their way back home for the celebrations when they were killed by unidentified gunmen. Natalia Jimenez, an ecologist who works with the environmental movements, and her partner, Rodrigo Monsalve, were on their way to their honeymoon when unknown men stopped them and brutally murdered them on December 20th. Similarly, Ronaldo Carrillo Vera, a peasant leader, was assassinated by gunmen while he was celebrating Christmas with his family. The others targeted were Lucy Villarreal, a cultural activist who was shot dead just after she had conducted a workshop for children on December 22nd. Ender Ravelo James, a former FARC combatant who was taking part in the peace process, and Jaro Ortiz, who was a member of the Indigenous Guard. The people of Colombia have been mobilizing for the past month in a historic national strike against the government of Iván Duque. one of the central demands of the mobilization is that the government take concrete measures to stop the massacre of social leaders, human rights defenders, and ex-combatants of FARC. Since 2016, when the peace agreements between the government and the FARC were signed, over 800 such leaders and activists and former combatants have been killed. That's all we have in this edition of the International Daily Roundup. To know more about these stories, visit our website peoplesdispatch.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Thanks for watching.